Hello guys, welcome back. On the screen I have Visual Studio opened up, Visual Studio Code, and we have an empty folder here which is server. We're going to build our Express application in here. Express is a framework built on top of Node which allows us to write or build APIs, right? And then we're going to use Express.js or build with it using Typescript, right? So what I need us to do is actually to initialize our project here. So we're going to need to open our terminal. Npm init yes server yes TadJobs. So the name of the project is TadJobs, which will contain both the front end and the back end. But for now, we are only building the API. Technology. Yes, it's okay. So now that we have our package and package.json here, we can actually start and go ahead install the stuff that we're going to need. We're gonna need Express. So let's give it a minute. So we have finished installing our Express. I need us to install all our dev dependencies, right? TypeScript for sure. And then we're gonna need types for Express, types for Node too. And we also need NodeMon. Our NodeMon will essentially listen to changes we make in our project. So instead of having to restart the server over and over again, NodeMon will handle that for us. So let's give them a minute and to install. As I've already explained that we are actually building a full stack project, but we are building the backend first. So we're going to gradually build the API bits by bits. So this is actually the first video, and we're going to drop another one that focus on one thing, drop another one that focus on another thing, until we get to the front end. We do the same thing. So it's going to be an amazing journey. So you better make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you don't want to miss out on this one. So now we have installed all our dev dependencies, right? So it means we can go ahead and start writing code. So we have TypeScript. So far you should have NodeMon, TypeScript, types for Node and types for Express in your dependencies. And as your dependency, you're gonna have to have, or you should have, Express, right? So let's go ahead and start structuring our project. We're gonna have a source folder here, which we're going to have routes, models, no, models, database, what else, controllers, middleware. So any code that is gonna be a middleware, we're going to have to put it in here, and maybe also have utils. Any logic that might be shared across controllers or middleware, we're going to put it in here. So, and then the entry of our project is gonna be this one. So it means you can go ahead and start writing code. So let's have a simple Express application here, and Express app is going to listen on port, and then our callback is gonna say our TadJobs server is running on pod, and of course we haven't defined pod, right? So let me come here, say pod, say number, and ideally you'd want to have the pod number inside the env file, but then we're actually going to do that later on in the project. But then since for now this purpose of the video is actually to set up your Express.js with TypeScript, so we don't really gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. So we have our pod here, our app or our service listening on pod 3000, and then let's actually have a simple a get function which at the entry level of our application. And then since we have installed types for TypeScript, for Express, we can say request type and then the response. And say we want to the response data 200. We are at the entry point, and then you can pass in some more information here. And yeah, I think this should be it. So we need to run it, and then before we actually run it, we need to set it up we need to set up our scripts in here. So for development, we're going to run node mon and to run our index.ts. So yeah, I think this is what we have so far. Let's open up our terminal here and have another cmd and say node mon run the, it says node mon, no, not actually node mon, npm run dev, and then this is actually should fire. Oh yes, here's a problem. Since we are actually building with TypeScript, we need to install another dev dependency called tsNode, which will allow us to, or which will allow nodemon to execute our TypeScript code. So let's go back in here and install as a dev dependency tsNode. So now we have installed the tsNode. So let me go back here, and since we installed it, now it even started the server. It says our TED server is running on pod 3000. So now it means we can go ahead and open localhost at 3000, and we should be able to get this response, right? So we can either use a browser, or we can use a platform that is used for testing API. So we're gonna be using Postman. So I'm just going to pull it here. So if you don't have Postman, go ahead and install it. We're going to use it to test our API as we build. So let me create a collection here and call it TadJobs app, and let's have our first request, which is going to be a get at the local host 3000. Let's send it, and you can see you're saying you are at the entry point, code and false. So basically this is it. We have set up our Express application with TypeScript, right? So yeah, I think this is it. You can even have something like this, but then let's say you have a to-do route here, .ts. What What did I do now? To do import, is it from and if you want to separate the request, right, because you don't want to have like a bunch of requests or endpoints in the same file, so or routes in the same file. So this allows you to separate that everything that contains to do, you can have it in here and say router.get and say, so we need these you are at the to do route, and we can export it. So now we can have something like this. So for every request that goes at localhost /3000 and to do, so we're going to say use this thing here. Let's import it and say to do routes from no so if we open up our Postman again and go to do's, you are ready to do that. So yeah, basically this is it, guys. I hope you learned how to set up your TypeScript project here, or Express.js project here with TypeScript. So the next video, we actually going to build on top of this, right? We're going forward until we get to the end, right? So yeah, thank you. Please before we head out, please make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment for me.